Rev up your engines!
Azim Mohammed says, Scotty, should I get a 2019 Kia Forte? I went to the dealer and I spoke to the manager. He said Kia is better than Toyota and Honda and has more. You go to a Kia dealer and you listen to what the manager has to say. What do you think he's going to say? Nah, we make junk. Go buy a Toyota. It's better than ours. Matter of fact, today I just shot a video on Kia SUVs, and they're better than they used to be. Back in 2012. A lot of them had four-cylinder engine problems, some serious problems, especially the ones made in Georgia. Now, the one that I was making a video with, I was working on, was a 2016 Kia, and it didn't have the problems that the other one had. So, they can be decent cars. They will not last as long as Toyotas and Hondas by any stretch of the imagination. If you're going to buy a basic model car, try the price differential, because the base model Kia and the base model Toyota equivalent, there isn't that much difference in price, and the Toyota's a higher quality. But if you get a luxury Kia and compare it to a luxury Toyota, the luxury Toyota price is a lot higher. It's your money. Some of those things will go 100,000 miles pretty much trouble-free. They can be good cars. But don't listen to a manager at any dealership. Of course they're going to say their cars are good. The Chrysler guys, they say theirs are good too, and they're terrible. Randy Torboli says, what are your thoughts about the 2.0-liter turbo in the Jeep Cherokee? Well, if you value your money, I would stay far away from that Italian-designed junk. You get a relatively heavy vehicle, put a little four-cylinder engine and turbocharge it, you get more power, yes. But the engine's going to wear out faster. It'll start burning oil earlier, and the turbo, when it breaks and costs you thousands to replace it, you're not going to be a happy camper. Now, back in the day, straight six-cylinder engines in the Jeeps, they were pretty well built. But now, since Chrysler took over, garbage as far as I'm concerned. Turbo Italian-designed engine. Don't say Scotty didn't warn you, because if you buy it, you'll probably be kicking yourself years down the line. JetRide232 says, Scotty, what do you think about low-mileage imported JDM engines? Well, I've used them in some of my customers in the past, and they're all totally happy with it. Realize that a country like Japan, they don't put that many miles on their car. It's a small place. They take trains all over the place half the time. I knew a guy in Japan, he had a 5-year-old car, and he had like 12,000 miles on it. So, it could be a low-mileage engine. But realize, any used engine is just that, a used engine. You have no idea what the actual mileage is. They can tell you all kinds of stories, but how are they going to prove it, you know? You can get them cheap enough. They can often be excellent engines. The only thing is, if you get engines imported from Japan, a lot of parts are different. Like the oil pan will be different. The exhaust manifolds are different. So you do have to change some stuff out if you're going to put it in a car that was sold to the American market, which is going to be slightly different. Jose Solis says, why does my alternator belt and serpentine belt keep breaking even though I changed it 4 times? One, you want to use a quality belt, but you can go any place, AutoZone or something, get a Gates belt or something. Don't buy the cheapest one you can get, buy a quality one. But if they keep breaking, you didn't say what vehicle it was on, but take vehicles that they break all the time. Chryslers. You got the serpentine belt that goes around all those different pulleys, right? If any of the pulley is worn or the bracket is bent and it's not even, it's sticking out, it's going to throw them and break them off. So, what you want to do is get a straight edge, check them all, and if you see they're not all aligned, one of them is further out or further in, you're going to have to fix the one that's not aligned because that's what's throwing the whole thing out. The other thing would be just a worn out automatic tensioner. If your automatic tensioner was weak, you put on a new belt, it won't tension it right and it'll keep flying off. Stefano Testoni says, Scotty, how do I know if I'm supposed to change my spark plugs in my 2010 Toyota Corolla? My RPMs are fluctuating, nothing major. It's 10 years old. You might as well take them out and change them. If they haven't been changed, you might as well. That may or may not fix that problem. Idle fluctuation is more often a vacuum leak, vacuum line came off, or on that particular Corolla, the intake manifold gasket can go bad and suck air. Now, we mechanics have equipment to test it, and we'd also look at the scan data. And if the scan data showed it was running lean, we had a pretty good idea there's a vacuum leak somewhere, we'd look for the vacuum leak. You can change it. You might as well change the spark plugs. Who knows? Maybe they're really worn out. They use pretty good spark plugs, and if you've got 100,000 miles or less, odds are they're still working perfectly fine. The Gaming Potato says, hey Scotty, I got an '09 Ford Flex. The back moonroof is letting water in. How do I stop it? Okay, here's something about these moonroofs a lot of people don't know. They aren't watertight. They don't perfectly seal water. Water always gets by them. When you take the moonroof back, open it up, you'll see there's tiny little drain holes. And they get clogged up with debris, and then they leak inside. You gotta clean those drain holes. I poke them with little pieces of steel, flexible rods, and then I get an air line and I push air through them, then it blows crud out, because those things actually drain out back of the car on the side. And if any of that stuff gets clogged, then when it does rain, drain conduits fill up and then drip inside the car instead of going down the little drain holes. So find the drain holes and clean them out. That's typical. I do that all the time on people's cars, especially if you park under trees. Arturo says, Scotty, Ford Fusion, what do you recommend me buying a used one? How's their reliability? When they first came out, they call them Fusions, kind of a fusion of Ford and Volvo. Got a lot of Volvo technology for better ride and handling. Definitely go back a few years. I would not buy a late model one. They don't make them anymore. And there's no sense paying a whole bunch of money for a car that they don't make anymore. Ford's not going to be making them anymore. Well, I would not buy a car that they're not making anymore. Their value is going to eventually. They probably won't make parts for the stupid things. But if you go back 2010 or something like that, they were decent made then. Like I said, I wouldn't buy a really new one that costs a bunch of money because they don't make them anymore. When they stop making cars, you pay less money for them. If you can get one cheap, go ahead. Destro Medic says, Scotty, what are your thoughts on a 2013 Subaru Brz Limited 6-speed manual? They are very fun cars to drive. It's a 7-year-old zippy little car. You got to figure out what the previous owner did. If it's a young kid who beat the heck out of it, you don't want to buy it. If you are serious about a vehicle like that, never sign anything. Don't exchange any money till you take it to a mechanic like me who can go through it with his fancy computer and road test and tell you, yes, this has been taken care of, it's good, or no, it's all worn out. There's so much data on those computers, we can look at it and see how efficient the car is. And if the car's efficiency is way off, that's a big sign that the engine's wearing out. You don't buy it then. Jared Panza says, Midas replaced my water pump in an '08 Equinox, but it broke because they cut corners. Should I junk the engine or take action? If they put a water pump on and it broke and it destroyed, I'd sue them. If it destroyed your engine, hey, that's their fault for not doing good work. It's another reason I tell people, stay away from chain repair shops if at all possible. Midas is a muffler shop. That's what they started out as. Why would you let them work on your engine? Unfortunately, a lot of those places do that kind of work now because they don't sell that many mufflers, because ages ago, mufflers in steel aluminum mixture, so they don't really rot out. My 94 Celica still has the original aluminized muffler on it, and it doesn't make any noise. So they're branching into things they're not any good at. But hey, if they're not willing to put another engine or something in it, sue them for it. They put it on, it broke. That's their problem for not doing it correctly. And unfortunately, I see that a lot of these chain repair shops, you know. They'll go, I was at an auto parts store the other day, and a guy who worked there was buying parts, and he said, they asked him, well, which one do you want to buy? Which water pump? And the guy says, the cheapest one. We just want to make the most we can. Just sell me the cheapest one. Instead of buying a high quality brand new one, they bought the cheap rebuilt one. Well, it kind of tells you something about the whole setup. Saeed Ahmed Sadat said, I'm 48, can still be a good automotive technician if I try? Sure, I mean, it's never too old to learn. I'm 66 and I'm still learning stuff every day, you know? If you like working with your hands, now especially these days, if you're good with electronics, you want to learn all about car electronics, the money is in electronics and computer systems. If you understand that or you want to learn how to do that, go right ahead, because then if it transitions to electric cars, you'll be real handy with the electrical stuff and you can just walk right in and start fixing them too. Wilmar Bark says, can you really check antifreeze with a multimeter? Well, you can indirectly. Good antifreeze doesn't really conduct much electricity. Ground the test meter, ground on the battery, and then put the power one inside the coolant. Don't touch the metal, just in the coolant loose by itself. There shouldn't be any real voltage going through. And if there isn't, that means the antifreeze is still clean and isn't conducting electricity. If you put it in there and you're getting a reasonable voltage reading, yeah, it's dirty and you need to change it right away. Believe it or not, I've seen cars that nobody's changed the coolant in 10 years and they start running really funky, and I find out that what's happening is the antifreeze is so dirty, it's conducting so much electricity that it's messing with the signals for the camshaft, the crankshaft. It can really mess things up if it starts conducting electricity because the coolant is not supposed to. You can test it. I have a video on that. Steven Martinez says, what are your thoughts on a 78 Buick Skylark project car with 60,000 miles on it? Could be interesting. They're becoming more popular. If it's really got 60,000 miles on it, it means it's not worn out. What are you going to do with it? If you're going to use it as a show car and have fun on the weekends, go right ahead. 42 years old. Unless it's been completely done over, the engine seals that are rubber, the brake hoses, everything. It's going to be old and rotten, and you're going to have to replace them all. Let's say the rear main seal of your engine's gone. It starts leaking engine oil, transmission off to replace that. You can get in some really expensive repairs. Don't buy a car like that and think it's going to be an everyday driver, but if you want a toy to fiddle with, they're kind of cool cars, and they're not outrageously expensive yet, like Mustangs and stuff are. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.